Don't mock. I'm not a fool. And people who know me personally know that I am not a fool. But I won't get into the details of those. I just want people to realize that I'm not a fool. Don't mock. I'm not a fool. Don't mock. I'm not a fool.
Hey there, and welcome to episode 59 of the Dumb Leaders podcast. Today, we're talking about selfish and smart leaders. And the reality is, can I work with them? So this was all driven from a question that was asked by one of our listeners, Ian, from the great state, I think it's a state, Colorado, over there in the United States of America. And thanks for listening, Ian. We really do appreciate it. And thanks for sending us the question. The question is really simple. He really just wanted to get our opinion. He'd been reading some responses on other websites in relation to this question. And he just wanted to get our understanding, or my understanding, of what I would think or what I would do in this particular case. And the question that he sent us was, what do you think is better, a leader who is dumb but selfless, or smart and selfish? So I'll just repeat that. What do you think, Tony? What do you think is better? A leader who is dumb but selfless, or smart and selfish? So thanks, Ian, from sending that to me. And immediately I read the question. I thought about a quote, and this quote gets referenced a number of times, and I think the main reference comes from a German major, I think, Kurt von Hammerstein. It is under some other people's names, but that seems to be the most common reference point, Kurt von Hammerstein. And the quote is really that he divides his officers into four groups. They are clever. These are clever, diligent, stupid, and lazy. So there are clever, diligent, stupid, and lazy officers. But usually two of those characteristics are combined. Some are clever and diligent. And in the understanding and experience of von Hammerstein, he says their place is in the general staff. Just general staff. He said the next lot are stupid and lazy, and they make up 90% of every army and are suited to routine duties. Anyone who is both clever and lazy is qualified for the highest leadership duties because they possess the intellectual clarity and composure necessary for difficult decisions. But one must always be aware of anyone who is stupid and diligent. He must not be entrusted with any responsibility because he will always cause mischief. He will cause only mischief. And the first time I became aware of that particular quote was previous Prime Minister of Australia, Kevin Rudd, was described as stupid and industrious, I think was the words that were used. So constantly working, but ultimately, well, this person perceived him to be stupid. So not entrusted with any sort of responsibility. So in the context, the question that was posed by Ian is of a similar intent. The dumb and selfless leader is likely to be much worse, in my mind, than working for a smart and selfish leader. But also understanding that this is a perception-based answer as well. And I'll just go through and explain that from my understanding and my perspective. So, but we need to understand that neither leader is the desired leader. So they're both dumb leaders in some context. But in context to the question looks at the attributes of both of these leaders. So I'm not looking at the ideal model. I'm looking purely at the attributes of these two leaders. And the key principle is the concept of selfless and selfish, to me. And also dumb and smart, I guess, in because that sort of fits in. And once again, this is about perspective. So when you look at selfless, the definition of selfless is concerned more with the needs and wishes of others than with one's own. So they become unselfish. So a leader that is selfless potentially isn't making those tough decisions that need to be made, is probably trying to manage by consensus and allowing his thoughts and reasoning to be overridden by others. And when you combine that with the concept of dumb, it potentially is a recipe for disaster. The definition of selfish is about lacking consideration for other people, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure. So once again, not ideal for a leader to be selfish. But as we know in the world, there are a lot of leaders that are purely in it for themselves. They're in it for their own glory. They're in it for their own quest for power. So while the smart leader is selfish and focused on their own personal profit and pleasure, the realization that with this is that they are actually indeed smart or clever. And this would presume, I'm going to make a presumption that this means that they understand the need for them to drive results from their team. And so often we see even selfish leaders create momentum for those that report to them. And that's purely because of the desire for the leader to create outcomes for status and power. So while they are often not great leaders, and more often than not great leaders, they can drive their team pretty relentlessly at times in pursuit of their own goals and dreams. And by doing this leads to opportunity to others. And if opportunity is what you are after, drafting a career based on results and outcomes, the selfish and smart leader may actually be good for you. And I've seen it time and time again where people jump on the coattails of a driven leader, selfish and smart, and have managed to build successful careers from it. Because often you'll see as that selfish and smart leader goes up based on results and outcomes, they'll take people with them that have played their role, that they can rely on, that won't rock the boat, that sort of stuff. So, but bear in mind, selfish leaders won't give you credit. They'll take that, thank you very much. They won't push you forward as they need you. And they need you to achieve their aims. They will often fight any opportunity that comes to your way that takes them out of their team, the smart and selfish leaders' team. So they will often fight that and block that purely because of the value that you may bring to them. But on an upside, I suppose the results that you're driving potentially from a smart and selfish leader may be enough for you to stand out and may provide you impetus for promotion outside of the sphere of influence from the smart and selfish leader. And that may be good for you. On the other hand, the dumb and selfless, while they're probably going to have good intentions here, the reality is that they're still a dumb leader. And the decision-making of a dumb leader is usually flawed in many, many ways. And ultimately, what will happen with a dumb and selfless leader is that they won't deliver anything of consequence. And that's going to tar them, and it's going to tar and tarnish the people that work for them. They may care for you, but they won't get results. And can I tell you, when you don't get the results, people start to play the victim, right? And playing the victim, even though your leader cares for you, really doesn't help you achieve for yourself to achieve anything of consequences, to boost your career, to move forward, all of those things. So in the lesser of two evils, if you were faced with those choices, ultimately I would look at the choices quite simply. You are faced with the choice of a leader that gets a result and takes the result and doesn't care about putting you forward, or a leader with no result but cares for you and puts you forward. Where would I rather be? I think I'm guessing that I would rather be with the smart and selfish leader. But it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of understanding yourself as to what's going to be desirable for you. Let's be honest, Ian, both of these leaders are dumb, so I'm glad you've asked the question. But if I was made to choose, it would be the smart and the selfish leader, because at least that will give me the opportunity to shine through with results. Thanks for the question. Thanks for listening. If you know someone that may benefit from this podcast, please share. Please share. It's always good to hear new leaders. We get feedback quite often talking about people that have just tuned in for the first time. Thanks for the insight. So don't forget, learn the lessons. Don't be dumb. Learn the lessons from lousy leaders, and you can do that over at the Dumb Leaders Handbook, which of course is at dumbleaders.com. So the Dumb Leaders Handbook, it's called, the dumbleaders.com. Don't be dumb. Learn the lessons of lousy leaders. I'll see you next time.